All right, so I'll run through some of your questions here. We already got to Allie, who was disgusted. These people don't care about their job and the place is filthy. Yeah, yeah, you should be. But hey, it builds the immune system, I guess. Kat talks about the workers of Goodfellows as a family. What's the purpose of this? Well, they are. We talked a lot about that. And maybe you'll experience that someday, Kat. Chris, what was the significance of the death of Steve's baby? Yeah, that's a good one. It's a real life moment coming into this fairly light-hearted, glib workplace. They're cranking out pizzas, they're making fun of each other, playing pranks, right? Some people are pilfering, stealing. And then, whoa, out of nowhere, this tragedy happens. And they all come together. It breaks through all that lighthearted surface level stuff in this, workplace where, food's important, right? But they make pizzas, it's not life and death. And then suddenly death comes in. And that it signifies that stuff happens, and it shows how people change when stuff like that happens. Nicole, what's the significance of the girl showing up after banging at the end, banging on the door, who tried to commit suicide? I think that's a similar thing, Roberta Jane's probably never seen anything like that. I hope none of us ever do. But it's a growth moment when those things happen. Something like that might only happen a few times in your life. You come across a car accident, or someone who's fallen or attempted suicide, or God forbid a drug overdose, and she doesn't know what to do. Maybe next time she will, because she got to see the other people come through. One guy moves the woman and gets her something to stop the bleeding. Someone else calls the police, and she's just like, she freezes up. She won't do that next time. And so it's real life coming through, and it happens. And this reminds me of that store I used to work in. Very, very tragically, a young woman who worked in the back didn't kill herself, but she was driving out one day. She hit a guy on a bike who was wearing metal headphones. The headphones hit the car, hit his head, and cut him open right here. And he bled out right in front of the store, and the blood stain was out there for a very long time on the pavement. And very, very sad. And my workplace was fun and silly, and we sold toaster ovens and stuff like that, important stuff, but it wasn't life or death. And then boom, right outside our door, someone was killed in a terrible accident. Will Washburn, do you think Jane's inability to connect with her family stems from her being seen as the black sheep? Well, she wasn't quite the black sheep, but I think she recreates the role in her family, or at least she carries the feeling of being the third wheel, fifth wheel, whatever, in her family, the extra piece that doesn't really fit in, a late life baby, parents who are older, been there, it's not that bad. She carries that same feeling into this group, and maybe she'll always feel that way throughout the rest of our life. There's something to be said for a lot of us is formed when we're a child, and we have to spend the rest of our lives dealing with what formed when we were a child. So good question, Will. Rita, do you think the name, both the story and the pizza shop, have meaning relative to the plot? Yes, I do think all the people here are good fellows, and she thinks that, and in retrospect, they're all good people. Are they the cream of the crop of humanity? Not exactly. Are they the worst people ever? No, not exactly. Not even close. But they're good, right? Except the one who steals a lot of money. They're good people. They're people. They're real people. Is there growth in the story? Yes, Rita. Roberta grows in the story, and I think looking back on the experience is only going to enhance that growth. It's a nice example of writing about your life is a way to grow up, because she realizes all the things she learned, and she realizes the importance of the sort of screw up things. Now remember, she's our narrator. She could have left out the fact that she said that insensitive thing to Steve 1. She could have left out that she stole money. She could have left a lot of stuff out, right? That could have made her look a whole lot better. But she put it all in. That's the stuff she needs to learn from. You got to learn from our mistakes, right? Not so we don't repeat them over and over. Why was the narrator never really able to connect with her co-workers? Summer asks. Maybe she did. Maybe she did. Maybe none of them connected. You know, like I said before, do any of us connect with other people? And oftentimes people you work with, you get along with, but once you leave, I mean, how many good, true friends do you really have at work? And be honest. And when I say that, if you left that job, how many people at that job would you continue to communicate with and hang out with? I work with like 150 people, and other than my wife, of course, who I would continue to hang out with, I can think of 3 that I would probably still keep in touch with and, you know, visit them and do stuff with them because they're friends. Now, everybody I work with here at Columbia Green, I consider a friend at work, and I like working with all of them. They're good fellows, but are they a friend? As in, if we didn't have the context of work, would we hang out and talk? Probably not. Maybe 3. Maybe 3. How many people do you keep in touch with from a job that you used to have? Summer, was the story saying a job is just a job? No, it's saying a job isn't just a job. It's saying it's a microcosm of life. It's saying it's a place to learn. It's a place to do psychology and sociology, right? No, it's not. In the end, it seems it was only the pizza binding them together. Oh, they're all toppings on a pizza. That's brilliant. I came up with that, Summer. You are brilliant. I'm not. Yeah, the pizza does bring them together, but all sorts of stuff brings us together. Our class, right, brought the 11 of us together. And by the way, barring some unforeseen, and this better not happen, all 10 of you are going to complete this class. You're going to complete every assignment. You're my only class to do that. We had Adam with us at the beginning. Good kid. I still see him around. I know his dad. He moved on to some other things in life. But the 10 of you, 11 with me, who are left, everyone is completing the class with honor. With honor. So get those essay exams in. Don't let me down, anybody. Why at the end of the summer did the piece of place slowly become less interesting to the narrator? She grows out of it, right? She grows out of it. And this hopefully happens to you if you have a job, a low-level job at a semi-fast food place. You really need to grow out of that, right? So she grows out of it. Does Sherry really steal money? Emma asked. Yeah, she did. Did the owners really think the store was going to last? I don't think so. Maybe Steve too, but the others are it's just a holding point for them. One's going back to college, another's going to study math somewhere at another, some other place. A master's, I think, in math. So it's really just a holding place for most of them. Not the district manager, Steve won, but yeah. The manager was only there to make enough money to go, yep, go to, yeah. The owner doesn't care, why should I? Someone wrote. Yeah. Remember this if you're ever an owner or a manager. You lead by example. You always lead a group by example, right? If I'm lazy in class and it takes me 3 weeks to get your papers back, and if I don't seem to care, my students aren't going to care as much. But if I care, which I do, you're probably going to care more, right? You're probably going to care more. And a boss at a job, if they're there to do the job right and they put 110% in, you probably are also. Chris, I think the employees do not treat their job as if it matters because they see the whole business as a fail. Yeah, I mean, even if it wasn't going to fail, it still is what it is, and it's ruled by some corporate overlord back in Chicago. They're in Wichita, Kansas, which, look on a map, it's quite a ways from Chicago. They're both a lot further away from here than they are from each other, but it's a distant, far off corporate overlord. She's pretty ashamed at the end, says Kat, of the story. Ashamed by her actions. Yeah, that's part of growing up. She feels that she'll be forgotten and be replaced. Yep. And yeah, when you leave a workplace, even if you're somebody important. I mean, I had colleagues here at Columbia Green who were icons loved by students, respected by other faculty. It's hard to imagine the college without them. But they leave, they retire, hopefully to a good long life. And you know what? Somebody fills the gap, right? Somebody fills the gap. We're all parts of a machine, and when a part leaves, someone else fills the part, hopefully. Chris, I think the name is meant to be a joke. I don't think so. I don't think Goodfellows is ironic, but a good idea, Chris, nonetheless, right? Nicole, good. Emma kind of had a nice concluding remark here. I think the narrator couldn't connect, yep, because of her age and inexperience. Yep, you always feel like a little bit of an outcast as a teenager, I guess. It's been a long time since I've been a teenager. The other employees seem like they've all worked at places like Goodfellows. Yeah, they're a little jaded. They might do well to go to college themselves. And some nice long summary remarks. Rita says, I don't see any reason not to believe Sherry was also stealing money. They live in Kansas. I'd be bored and broke too. You ever been to the Midwest? It's not an exciting place, and the people are very, very nice. I've only visited there, but there's something about the landscape that kind of makes it pretty dull. Yeah, so it's funny. Thank you, Rita. The owners knew the fate of the shop pretty soon. Yep. Rita, a little later on, I think the ending of the story is consistent with the way it's told. Yes. We never really see much of her opinion throughout, and the ending is the same. She's the teller of other people's narratives, and she uses her role to watch those around her. Once those people are gone, she has nothing left to do. So, she is the teller of other people's narratives, but there's no way you can tell someone else's story without also telling your own. And she does mention herself a lot. How you interpret the people around you, how you interpret a piece of literature, says more or as much about you as it does the people or the piece of literature. So when you're a teller of other people's narratives, very well put, Rita, you are a teller of your own narrative as well, even if you don't talk about yourself. You are a teller of your own self. You reveal a lot when you tell. And last but not least, Summer. It seemed like the narrator and Sherry both became so comfortable at Goodfellows that they thought they were owed something. Yeah, maybe. In fact, I think you could say that about most of the staff. It seemed like the Steves were the only employees that actually cared about the business. True. And I think people are a lot less likely to steal if the owner, the owners are probably stockholders somewhere. If the owner is there, you really feel like you're stealing from someone and not just a spot. So anyway, don't steal, you know that. And then Summer gives us a nice concluding point here. I think the point of Steve's baby dying in the story was to remind us that sometimes reality strikes a fun situation and makes it serious. COVID-19. It also helped us to see the narrator's disconnect with her co-workers. She was not very compassionate during the tragedy because at the end of the day, they were really only co-workers. Well, I don't know. I think your part right there, Summer. Yeah, at the end of the day, they really are only co-workers. That is true. She doesn't keep in touch with them. But they were also role models, both good and bad. They were teachers to her. She learned from them. She learned from being around them. And but ultimately, yeah, they were just co-workers. But you've got to learn and you've got to grow. And that's what this story is really about. It's taking every experience you've had and learning and growing and learning and growing right up until your final day, hopefully when you're 95 or 100 years old.